Hello summoners, and welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Kangas, and today we'll be discussing underrated picks in patch 10.22. We'll be going over the runes, builds, and playstyles to effectively solo carry your ranked games if you do decide to pick up one of these champions. For our question of the day, what champion do you think is strong in the current meta that nobody plays? For me personally, I'm a big fan of Aurelion Sol. They're a champion that can completely take over solo queue games by either pushing solo or just killing the enemy mid laner. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing what you all have to say. Before we get started, make sure to visit ProGuides.com and try out our VOD review coaching system. There you'll receive an in-depth report from one of our challenger tier coaches running over the mistakes and things that you can improve on in your gameplay. With that being said, let's jump straight into the video.
Jax is a champion that occasionally finds play in both solo queue and competitive play. He has a very unique set of abilities that focuses around being able to auto-attack and stay alive while doing so. Look to pick Jax when you're against champs that are auto-attack based, since his E is the only ability in the game to completely dodge the attack, effectively making you take 0 damage. Don't get it confused with Shen's W, which blocks, but the same concept still applies. Look to build Corrupting Potion, Blade of the Ruined King, Ninja or Merc Treads, Trinity Force, Death Stance, Steric's Gauge, and Guardian Angel. Jax is an item-dependent champion, so look to play conservatively during the early game and reach critical item points like Blade and Trinity Force before looking to pressure the side lanes. With that being said, Jax still does have outplay potential during the early laning phase, if you ever find an opportunity to stack your passive early on. You can always out-DPS a lot of opponents over time with Conquer and win the trade or even just kill them. Just make sure to pop your Corrupting Potion when you go in. Our next underrated pick is going to be Nasus. With the rise in champion picks like Malphite, Ornn, and Scion, these tankier picks have trouble punishing Nasus's sustain during the early laning phase. Look to pick Nasus into tankier picks top lane and simply farm and reach your item spikes where it's impossible for these tanks to outdamage you. Look to freeze and hold the enemy minions in front of your tower as long as possible, and use your passive and potions to stay healthy while stacking your Q. Once you reach your early CDR items like Sheen and Kindle Gem, look to reset and teleport back only to continue stacking your Siphoning Strike. Build Corrupting Potion, Trinity Force, Merc Treads, Death Stance, Spirit Visage, Steric's Gauge, and Randuin's. Our biggest advice is not to get too caught up in stacking your Siphoning Strike. Many beginner Nasus players will focus so much on this that they forget they're playing a League of Legends, only to find their team getting wiped while they're still stacking in the side lane. The difference between 500 stacks and 800 stacks doesn't make that big of a difference, because you're still killing most targets in the same amount of ability rotations anyway. The big point we're getting to is look to group when you feel like you can impact fights, because Nasus has a lot of tools to frontline and output big damage. Nocturne found a lot of success a couple patches back, but instantly fell out of the meta once pro players defaulted to more aggressive invading junglers. However, Nocturne can still be used to dominate ranks because solo queue players never respect the fact Nocturne can be in their lane, giving you the opportunity to get a lot of free kills. Look to farm and reach level 6 safely, where you can start setting up plays to secure objectives and get your team very far ahead. Build Red Smite Warrior, Merc Treads, Black Cleaver, Death Stance, Edge of Night, and Last Whisper. A small mechanic you can use is using your Q while flying in with Paranoia. Since you're outputting your Q faster, there's some niche situations where your Q will be available slightly faster in the fight, giving you another tool to secure a kill that you're going for. We didn't talk about it during the build, but if you see an opportunity to split push in your game, build Sanguine Blade 2nd or 3rd, and pressure the side lane until somebody reacts to you, giving you a numbers advantage if you rotate and use your ultimate mid lane. We understand Blue Kayn may seem like the go-to option for ranked, but for this section, we want to highlight the powers of Red Kayn for the current solo queue meta. Red Kayn has a lot of tools for survivability and crowd control, while also being able to do damage, which are all very beneficial in Clown Fiesta fights. You will have a lot of opportunities to find isolated fights during a team fight and stack Conqueror, allowing you to assassinate targets and re-enter the main fight, sustaining through everybody's damage. Like to build Blue Smite Warrior, Merc Treads, Black Cleaver, Death Stance, Spirit Visage, and Last Whisper. During the laning phase, make sure to only gank melee lanes in order to stack your red passive, since ganking range characters will stack blue form faster. If you ever find yourself in a sticky situation, use your blue smite on somebody and ult to them. Since you damaged them, it will give you the option to ult them, compared to red smite, which doesn't do instant damage. During teamfights, never back out once you have 12 Conqueror stacks, because unsurprisingly, you have a lot of sustain with Death Stance and Ravenous Hunter, so you'll often gain a ton of HP when you use your abilities on multiple targets. Anivia is a champion that has a lot of unexpected damage and utility that people disrespect, making her the perfect pick to climb. If somebody ever steps over, look to use Wall, which will force the enemy to walk a certain way, giving you the opening to stun and following up with your E. On top of that, if you ever start to fall behind, Anivia can almost infinitely wave clear a lane by simply pressing R and stunning the melee minions, which will clear the wave, giving your team a scaling option. Look to build Rod of Ages, Archangel Staff, Sork Shoes, Liandry's, Rabadon's, and Void Staff. Your champion has a lot of escape tools, including stuns, slows, and walls, along with Phase Rush. A mechanic you can use to escape sticky situations is using teleport before you get put into your egg form, since your character will still continue teleporting out. Just make sure the enemy doesn't have any crowd control to stop your channel. During objective dances, make sure to position yourself in chokes, where you can trap enemies and watch them slowly get chunked by your AoE abilities, giving you a massive advantage before the fight breaks out. Kiana perfectly fits all the qualities needed in a champ to take over the map. She has the ability to shove waves, solo kill lane matchups, and even roam to lanes very quickly. Make sure to learn what elements you should pick up in each situation, since they all offer different tools to outplay situations. Generally speaking, Brush is used to escape and confuse enemies, River is used to set up plays and stun people, and then Terrain is used to burst opponents below 50% HP. Look to build Corrupting Potion, Boots of Mobility, Umbral Glaive, Yomu's, Edge of Night, Duskblade, and Last Whisper. Once you reach Boots of Mobility, don't be afraid to sacrifice waves to roam to top or bot lane and find leads by simply slaying people over and over. Even if you fall slightly behind in experience, you will tilt the enemy team and have item advantage with all the gold that you get. During the mid game, try to find fights in the jungle with plenty of terrain, so your ultimate is more likely to hit many targets, giving you more targets to execute. If you want to learn how to impact the map like a challenger tier player, make sure to visit our website at ProGuides.com to get a pro coach help you learn the ins and outs of Kiana. Draven is a champion that dominates the laning phase through sheer damage output and has a lot of pop-off potential with his cash-in mechanic. Draven has the abilities to run down a lot of immobile AD carries, so look to pick this champion into characters like Jinx, Twitch, and Kai'Sa. Of course, it comes down to the support matchup, but look to use your stand aside and speed up into opponents with double axes. Abuse your Hail of Blades proc, and disengage to avoid losing out on long-term trades. Look to build Manamune, Berserker's Greaves, Sanguine Blade, Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, and Death Stance. Practice controlling your axe to fly forward so you can speed up into it, refreshing your W, and using it again to essentially speed up twice to your counterpart. Many AD carries will fall victim to this, giving you easy cash outs to play super aggressively for the rest of the game. Kai'Sa has a lot of versatility as an AD carry because she has a decent early game with strong scaling and can build hybrid with AD and AP. Look to pair Kai'Sa with supports who have crowd control because they're able to directly interact with Kai'Sa's passive, essentially allowing Kai'Sa to burst down targets faster. During the laning phase, farm and poke down the enemies with Q and occasionally harass with Halo Blade autos. Your main objective is to reach Manamune and start charging it to scale into the mid game. Look to build Manamune, Berserker's Greaves, Rage Blade, Nashor's Tooth, Rabadon's, and Zhonya's. We understand the serrated Dirk build going around nowadays on Kai'Sa, but our analysts feel the scaling build offers more consistency throughout ranked because solo queue games tend to draw out to late game fights where the Manamune build excels. Our biggest advice during team fights is to use your ultimate aggressively to burst down those squishy targets that have been crowd control, and kite out, only using Zhonya's when in immediate danger. Poppy should only be picked when the enemy team has a lot of dashes, since she can deny over 50% of the enemy's kit. Look to call for jungle assistance during the laning phase and aggressively flash and stun opponents into walls to set up free kills. After that, abuse Hex Flash to continuously make plays on unsuspecting targets and rack up more kills. Look to build Steel Shoulder Guards, Boots of Swiftness, Knight's Vow, Zeke's Convergence, Stoneplate, and save that last spot for Pink Wards. During teamfights, you have one job: peel for your carries and ult enemies on top of them. Otherwise, look to control objectives with wards and don't ever be afraid to flash aggressively to stun enemies into walls to start the fight. Zilean is that weird character in those games that offers tons of utility but still does a decent amount of damage. Pick Zilean to slowly poke out opponents and annoy immobile champions with slows and stuns, setting up your team for free gold. Look to build Relic Shield, Ionian Boots, Athene's, Redemption, Ardent Sensor, and save that last slot for Pink Ward supports. Peel for your carries and fights, and make sure to use your ult to save somebody that will die. Don't be afraid to flash double bomb targets with no flash to set up an aggressive team fight for your team to capitalize off of. Zilean is a champion with a lot of unexpected output, so take advantage of this to gain free LP in solo queue.
Well, that concludes our latest episode of Underrated Picks in 10.22. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to join our Discord down below where you can get tons of coaching and community events. Lastly, don't forget to visit our website at ProGuides.com where you can receive coaching from our pro players and improve with our pro player courses. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck on the Rift. What's it called when you make fun of a cow? Roast beef.